So, good morning, one and all. I am Abul Rajani from WeBind Education Technologies Private Limited. We bring industry experts live into the classrooms. So, to brief you about our company, let me play a short video.
Rohan and Rita are engineering students. They are studious and smart. They work hard and get good grades. It's a happy story. But here comes the villain. They're confused about their future. They find no connect with the subjects they study and what career they want to pursue. Professor Nandlal is a very senior lecturer. He has sensed this issue with many other students like Rohan and Rita. He is worried too. He sets out on a mission to find a solution. He does some research, tries to find out who can help him bring the real corporate world into the classroom. He wants someone to help students gain knowledge and experience of the practical world. And voila, what does he find? WeBind, bringing industry to classroom. WeBind has a list of industry experts as masters on their platform. By means of WeBinders, these masters interact with students like you. These WeBinders are called Masterclass. What do we expect from a masterclass? Stories of inspiration and experience, tons of information and new products and the ideas behind it, useful insights on how to step into the industry, chance to interact and pitch ideas to the movers and shakers of the industry. One such masterclass is waiting for you. Come, let's hear the master. And yes, don't forget to like us on Facebook or tweet to us at WeBind. We appreciate your feedback by just a WhatsApp on 088 791 63528. We promise to bring the Tatas and Bansals and the Murtis to you soon. Help us get them live on your screens.
So, dear students, today's masterclass is on mobile applications, how a mobile application is made. So, today's masterclass is going to be taken by Mr. Vidit Shah. He is the founder of YOLO Perks, a mobile application for retailers. So, without any further delay, over to you, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Abul. Firstly, I would like to welcome you all at YOLO Perks. So basically what we do at YOLO Perks is helping retailers to reach out to their customer base. And the idea behind YOLO Perks was to make it very simple and interactive for the retailers to capture customer data in store. So as you know, there's a huge online-offline disconnect. So we started off our journey back in 2014, where we got incubated at iCreate. It's a Gujarat government incubator. Basically, an incubator is it's an entity where you can go and pitch your ideas to that incubator, and then they can fund you for your idea, and then probably get you to the next level. So I'll talk briefly about myself. I am an engineering graduate. I graduated in 2012, and I was more always into extracurricular activities. I think that is the one key thing that each and every one of you should be doing apart from regular studies, because whatever you do extra is going to add value to you in the future. So coming to YOLO Perks, I have a brief demo what we are doing currently. If I may ask everyone to just pull out their phones and give a missed call on this number 022 3383 5857. I'll just highlight it. So this is the number 02233835857. I just want you to tell me once you have given the missed call on this number. Don't worry, you will not be charged for it. I just want to see number of people who have just given a missed call. Just raise your hands for once you have given a missed call. Once you have given a missed call, you will be getting an SMS link. Yeah. Okay. So once you've given a missed call, you will be getting an SMS link. Now you click on that link, you will get a mobile web page, which will ask you to select a location. And then you can select any one of the location and you will just get a digital scratcher. So now the idea behind YOLO Perks is we gamify the in-store experience for the customer, as well as helping the store to connect with their customer base. So up until now, what was the model for the businesses was to capture customer data via feedback form. And now with this missed call solution, they can actually have a very interactive way of communicating with the customer. Can somebody just tell me whether everybody has got the idea clearly? Got it?
Mr. Vidit, all the
Yeah.
messages are kept on mute mode so that
Okay.
there is no disturbance or noise that comes in. So I think everybody
Okay.
has done that.
Okay, all right. Okay, so basically, you must have got the idea of what we do. So it's basically gamification for the customer base, and so I'll talk about my journey. We got incubated at iCreate in 2014, and again, it has not been a very simple journey. It has been a long journey. It almost took me 2 years to come to reach to this level. What my success has been, to get the startup funded at an idea level, and probably the biggest difference between my success has been the persistence, failures, and its learning. I think this is one of the key things. We started off as an app only model. As you might see, as app was the next big thing in the market. But sooner or later, we realized that it is not just going to be easy to rely on app only model, because most of the Indian is still not having very strong internet penetration, and as well as most of the users are still using lower end phones, so they have issues for downloading the application. Nevertheless, what we realized is that app definitely makes a lot of sense in sectors like travel, media. Media means social media, YouTube, all those things. Games, banking, commerce. Commerce can be e-commerce. Now we are also into mobile web as well as an app. So I think that is most important key to look at when you're doing an app development. I'll talk about my team. So we are a team of now 6 people. We have an MBA from NMIMS, a tech lead from VJTI. Two of our engineers are from Gujarat University. One of our graphic designer is from Kolkata. I think the success for any startup is the team behind it. And definitely we've worked with a lot of interns, and most of my team has been built from uh, people who were an intern first with me, and now they have joined as a full-time employees. I think that is one of the most important thing that you will learn in a startup, that you have to do things by making mistakes. And I think a corporate experience will not allow you to make a lot of mistakes, whereas a startup will allow you to do that. Moving forward, so I'll talk a little bit about how app has actually impacted in a good way and as well as a bad way for certain companies. So not all companies need to make an application. That is one thing that we need to understand as app developers. So if you're looking at a model like Uber, or probably like on-demand economy, like ride sharing, or anything that has to do with very innate use of mobile features like GPS or camera functionalities, or the accelerometer, you're making a fitness app or anything, you definitely need to have an application. Whereas when you're looking at e-commerce or anything and you're a very small player, then definitely you should look at other options like mobile web first, explore that, and then develop a mobile application. Application has been, so like certain startups have completely come up only on the app based model, and that is primarily because they are solving a very strong need. So when you're developing an application, always think from that point of view, that uh, whether is it really going to use the core functionalities of the mobile. So it can be GPS, accelerometer, camera. It can be anything that is only available in a mobile application, in a mobile phone, and not necessarily on a desktop. So if you have this solution very much clearly, if this problem is very much defined for you, then you can definitely start looking at mobile application as a definite solution. Uh, I will briefly look at tech development and the process. So I think most of you must be aware of how Android apps are like work on Java, and iOS works on C Sharp and other uh, languages. But I want to touch base on the process of how the app is developed. So I think you must be going through a lot of software development life cycle processes that you must be learning in your curriculum. Even actually, I had read this. You define a functional requirement, then you go and define the UI and everything. All those things, when I studied in my engineering, I really didn't understand what was the importance of it. But I think uh, that theoretical knowledge actually helped me in defining my own process while developing this application. And it definitely helps if you have some kind of process to follow when you're developing the application. So when you're developing an application, first and foremost, as I told you, you have to define whether an application is the right fit or not. Now this is as an advice, you have to look at two different aspects of business. So one is you are developing an application as a service for somebody else, and one is you're developing an application for your own startup. So if you're doing as a service, uh, you don't really need to put a lot of thought behind whether the application is required or not, because the client requires it. Whereas when you're doing your own startup based on an application, I would suggest you to really look back and think hard whether the application is the most important thing. So in my application, YOLO Perks uses GPS as well as the camera functionality. So that is the reason why we went ahead and developed the application. So how does the process start for an application development? Is basically you define the functionality, what you want. So it can be right from how do you want the user to log in, what kind of data you're collecting, and how do you store that data. Once that is defined, so that is just one of the parts. Like login is one part. Then there is one-time OTP. You want to do an OTP or not. Then you do the functionality requirement. So what is the app basically going to do? Most importantly, So let's take an example of Uber. I'll explain you how Uber would have gone through their own development process. So for them, couple of key things were very much important, that they wanted GPS specific map enabled real time data. So they defined the GPS requirements. They defined whether it can be done online, only on the desktop, or it can be done on the mobile only. So again, that is important. Then they defined uh, the real time requirement of the cabs to be shown on the map. So that is something again very much specific to the mobile application. And obviously the referral thing. Referral comes once you have a good login mechanism. So if you are logging in a customer via Facebook login, you don't want him to create multiple accounts. So right, so you have to make sure that the user is unique. So then they tied their uh, login with the unique device ID which is there for every Android and iOS phone. So that that really reduced the fraud of getting referrals. But initially they started off providing just the simple login interface, and then the referral came, and then they realized whether this would be an issue or not. So once you have defined your functionality, very concretely, that this is what the user is going to see. Once he opens the app, he sees, he logs in, then what is the next most important thing that is going to look at? So you define that. Once that is defined on paper, you start designing the UI. Now, the UI is very much important, because once you start designing the UI, you start getting the clear picture of what are the problems you will face in terms of app interaction with the customer. So when the customer is interacting with your application, you will realize, okay, this particular button is not going to work because I have not asked for his login at this particular stage. So this will give you a very clear idea of how to go ahead with your application design. So once you have an application design ready, it can be wireframes, and there are very much free tools available. A couple of them is Pop App, if I'm not wrong. You can just search for tools like prototyping for mobile application, and it will be very easy once you design the UI by hand also, and start linking the process. So what will happen is somebody logs in via Facebook. Next he sees, I want to book an Uber, I want to book an Uber Go, I want to book an Uber X. So that's how the process starts taking shape. Once you define the design for the UI, you start creating the database behind the logic. So once you have the UI ready, you start creating the database that will give you a clear idea of how to define the variables, what kind of variables are required at which point of time, what all characteristics of the database do we need to pull out for which functionality. So once that is defined, you can start linking the front end and the back end. And this is where most of the problems can come up, front end and back end. If you really need to have somebody who is understanding the front end as well as the back end in your team. Unless and until you do that, there will be a lot of problems in terms of coding, because if you have two people working on different things, it will be very difficult. So either preferably, if you're doing it yourself, you should managing the front end as well as the back end. Or if you're having two people, then there should be somebody who is communicating the different syntax that they are using. And the last thing is testing rigorously. This can start with your in-house testing, as you must have read in textbooks. But later on, you need to move out to the market and really need to test with the end user, because what happens is that we engineers have a very strong belief that we know what is the best thing, and this is how the customer is going to interact with my application. But if you really want to see what a real user is going to do is with your application, you should give the application to probably your mom and dad. They will tell you the problems with your application, because we believe that we know this is how it is going to work. But once you really open the app to other people to use it, you'll start seeing the difference of how it is different from what you had thought of how the user is going to talk about how is going to interact with your application. So that is the most important thing, I think, for testing. Once you go and do customer testing, you will also realize there will be certain things that you will have to improve from scratch. So with further ado, you should actually make sure that the application is doing what the customer wants and not what you think that the customer wants. So if you have to really develop an application, really start thinking from that point of view, whether the customer will like that or not. So initially you start thinking with your own thought process, but then once you are in the market, you really need to start interacting with the customer database, with the customers, and understand whether they are seeing the value in what you are creating for them. Next, so this is more towards marketing, app marketing. Uh, as you know, developing an application is not a big deal. I think probably 50% of you can really make an application of yours uh, in almost 3 months' time. The problem is with the distribution of the application. So when we talk about the distribution of the application, uh, you will find almost billions of apps on the app store. And it's not that you just create an application and have store or the Android app store. You will have to also make sure that it is publicized well. And as you know, as a startup company, that is one of the biggest challenge. How do you make sure that people are installing your application? And companies spend a lot of money to get a single app installed. If I may quote some industry examples, there are if you are an Android app developer, you might have to pay almost as much as 45 rupees per Android install, and for an iOS app install, it would cost you almost 120 rupees. So this is where the referral things come into play, where you see Ubers and Olas and even Grofers, Amazon giving your referral, rather motivating the user to uh, interact or rather refer their customers or increase their customer database. But now the most important thing with referral that you need to keep in mind is that try not to have a referral model which is cash based. So if you're looking at Ola and Uber, definitely they are burning a lot of money, but it is more important that you make sure that it is not uh, cash based incentive. Rather, it has to be something like which is your core of the product. So I may quote an example of Dropbox. If I'll explain what Dropbox does. Dropbox gives you free storage online, so it's like Google Drive online, but it was prior to what Google Drive actually became now. So Dropbox attracted a lot of early customers, primarily because they had uh, a referral model which was encashing on their core product. So their core product was free storage. So they were giving free storage to users who were signing up on their platform, and they were not burning any money. So if you go to see, that is a very strong strategy that you need to leverage compared to what you can do with incentivized referral of money. So I would definitely say money based incentives are definitely much stronger, but it also burns through your pocket very quickly. And most of the startups will find it difficult to implement such kind of uh, strategy without having VC funding. So I would suggest that you really focus on providing your core product and making sure that your core product is being used for your application, for your referral also. So I think the best alternative rather to solve the app marketing problem is create a really good application. If I may say, uh, WhatsApp never really marketed their own product, right? So again, some apps are really bound to cut that clutter and reach out to the customer base very quickly. So you really need to focus on the product and the problem that you're trying to solve. If you're trying to solve a very strong problem, you will not find it difficult to market your app. But if you're getting into a market which is already very crowded, like gaming. You see mobile app games. There are thousands and millions of app games that they give out for free. So it is going to be very difficult if you're making an application which is already there on the market. But again, the question for you to ask is whether you're providing app development as a service or app development as a product of yourself. So that is another thing that you need to keep in mind. The last thing about marketing of application and retaining, retention is the most difficult task for any application to build. You see as low as 15% of users retaining the application that they installed 3 months earlier. And for a fact, you must have also seen that on your phone, the maximum amount of apps that you are currently using will be Facebook, WhatsApp, probably Twitter, probably Book My Show and Zomato. These are the apps that are going to be constant in your mobile. But rest all the apps are going to churn a lot sooner. So you also need to figure out whether the cost that you are involving, the cost of getting the app downloaded, and the return on investment of that app user is matching your cash flow or not. If it is not matching, let's say you're burning 500 rupees to get an app download, and that user is being lost in the first few weeks or first few months of the app download, it does not make sense, right? It does not make business sense. So you really need to think from that point of view if you're into a product based startup. So product based app startup. I'll talk about just a second. Yeah, so coming to the trends, what future holds for app development? Uh, I think the app development or app outsourcing market is really, really good to get into, but there is a lot of competition. So uh, the suggestion being that you start off making apps for others and probably start experimenting, developing your own application as a product, and understand the market, how to market your own application, what are the challenges based on that. So I think a big opportunity lies for Indian app developers, especially with Reliance Jio coming in. I don't know how and when this particular 4G is going to be implemented and how strong it is going to be. But the initial hopes are very high from Reliance Jio, assuming that they are really going to make a lot of 4G available at the cost of 3G, and even lower for that matter. And even the handsets that they are providing are going to provide a lot of tremendous opportunities for app developers, and there will be a lot of market for the app development. But it all depends on how well the market is being adapted. Like back in 2006, when Reliance entered the mobile industry, they really made a lot of noise about it, and they really disrupted the whole market. So I'm expecting that a similar kind of trend will follow with Reliance Jio 4G. You should keep an eye out for it. Another interesting thing, if you're really tech savvy, you must have read about ad blockers. So now ad blockers on iOS is possible. So in an Apple iPhone, there's a huge possibility that your app will not be able to show any applications, any iOS applications will not be able to show ads. So again, it's a big challenge for app developers, because most of these apps are running on the advertisement model and not making a lot of money from the customers by charging them directly. So this is going to be a challenge. Apps again. So next trend that we are seeing is apps going back to cloud. So what I mean apps going back to cloud is the problem which I earlier mentioned, not having space in the phone. Most of the people not having space in the phone, or complaining about not having enough data to download the whole application. I see a possibility wherein this whole downloading the application problem will be solved wherein which you don't have to download the application. All you have to do is uh, just open a browser and start using the functionality of the browser as good as the mobile application. So the primary difference between a mobile web and a mobile application is that a mobile web will not be able to access the core functionalities of the app, of the phone. So if I want to, so let's say I have asked you to give a missed call and you have opened the web link. I was not able to collect your GPS location. I was not able to access your camera. So these are the challenges that I am facing as a mobile web. But if you had downloaded YOLO Perks as an application, I would be able to use your GPS. I would be able to use your camera. So once you allow me the access of camera and GPS, I can use it for my further user experience. So let's say a particular user has downloaded YOLO Perks and he is in the store. All he needs to do is just open the application and he'll find the same digital scratcher. So he does not need to give a missed call or anything. It becomes that simple. So that is the difference between uh, mobile web and mobile application. I see a trend where apps are going back to cloud, where you most of the uh, apps will become a mobile web service, as you must have heard about Flipkart also moving back to mobile web. So I think 2018, by 2018, we'll see a different kind of scenario in this industry. The last thing I really would like you to experiment as students would be virtual reality. In India, virtual reality is not picked up so well, but virtual reality is really the next big thing, probably for app business. So if you are developing an application which is going to be used for virtual reality, definitely that will make a lot of sense. Now coming to like how you as students are supposed to use and derive benefit of this knowledge. Probably you are in industry, you are in college right now, you're going to graduate in next 1 year. I think what helped in my journey up until now was what I did differently. So each and every one of you, I'm really going to request to focus on your regular curriculum, but not restrict yourself to regular curriculum. You should go and do internships if you get. You should get involved with your college activities where you're not doing your core engineering based projects, you're doing more of marketing, team management, public speaking. That is what I did as my college general secretary, and it really helped me to prepare myself as a CEO of my company. I think that is the most important thing. I also took Android programming back in 2011 and 12. We didn't have Android as a subject in our curriculum, so I took that up voluntarily, and really helped me to see a market over there. So I think you should also, if you don't have Android and iOS as a development program in your curriculum, you should always strive and do something which is not being done by most of the other people. It can be virtual reality, it can be big data, it can be artificial intelligence, it can be anything. But what you need to do is you need to expose yourself to opportunities. So as I told, we've already worked with 13 odd interns, and I'm telling you with experience that all my interns have have succeeded tremendously well, and most of them obviously joined us. But apart from joining us, who have not joined us, they have gone on to work with some of the most great companies like Infosys, Accenture, TCS. Even one of our intern is currently scheduled to work with Intuit in US. So I think working while you are studying is the best thing that you can do as of now. As an industry person, I would say that you should expose yourself. You should expose yourself to many opportunities, as many opportunities as you can. You know, at most of the startups I have seen, uh, definitely the focus is on internship and interns development as well, because what we see is uh, interns turning into employees is a big boon for the company. and it also helps us to gauge the talent of the incoming employee. So I think you should, if you are, even if you are in any part of Maharashtra, or you are in any part of Gujarat also, you should try and get internships at companies which are very small, and which are, having a lot of work, and they're doing a lot of tech oriented work. If you're looking at, if you're an engineering student, and if you're a marketing and management student, I think go and join a startup which is decently funded, because they would have a lot of money around to experiment with new ideas. I would refrain from joining any corporate until you have worked with a startup, primarily because you would not understand the nitty gritty process that are required to make things work in a very small organization. Once you understand the importance of the time crunch, the labor crunch, the resource crunch a startup has, you will definitely make a lot more impact in a corporate world, because now you will understand how to manage people and resources and time in a short amount of period. So I think that is what has helped me a lot, and I would really, really be glad if anyone of you wants to intern with us. We would be looking forward to it. But I must say we have a very stringent process of interviewing the interns, because what we believe is that you can shine a diamond only if the diamond has some properties of shining. So you really need to be up to the mark, and I think every startup is going to expect that from you. So put in a lot of efforts what you're doing after college, before college, and during college. So do that. That is going to make a lot of difference to your success in the coming few years. Challenges and perks of doing your own startup. I think the biggest challenge, I think, is remote team management. I have two teams, one working from Bombay, one is working from Ahmedabad. Getting them to come on the same page, managing their times, is one of the biggest challenge, but it is again a perk for me, actually. Another thing that you are going to see as a startup, I'm assuming you should start up in your college days itself, is, because you understand a lot of things by doing. You will never uh, learn by bookish knowledge as much as you're doing by yourself. So another thing that comes to my mind is, hiring. Most of the startups have this biggest issue of hiring, and I think no amount of experience is going to help you in that case, because every person that comes to your company is going to be different. With time and experience, probably you're going to have a process in place that is going to help you, that is going to make it easier for you to hire, but it is not going to completely solve the challenge of hiring people. And if you're into app development, I think uh, it is a people driven industry. Your software is as good as what kind of engineers you're going to hire, what kind of managers you're going to hire. Another challenge as a startup, product based startup rather, is fundraising. This is something which I don't think you would relate to a lot in this scenario, but I would still touch base on this, because with Narendra Modi's initiative of Startup India, I think there is a lot of opportunity for young students to take their ideas from an idea stage to a product stage. So I think you should, if you're looking at a project that you think that could become a company in itself, you should really explore at various means and mechanisms of raising funds for your startup. So, and I would really suggest that you do it while you're in your college third year or fourth year, because that will give you some time to validate your idea. And the last but not the least is the sales. Do anything, whatever you want, but if you don't get any sales done, I think that is the death of any company. So you really need to get up every day and hustle towards sales. I have my own newsletter which I send out weekly. I think if you guys are interested, I put a lot of stuff about startups and everything. what is happening in the international market, what is happening with marketing, what is happening with business development, what is happening with psychology. So I think after the lecture there will be a newsletter shared with you. So if you're interested to understand what is happening really in the market, you should sign up for that newsletter. I I would like to leave you all with a problem statement that we are currently brainstorming on internally, is how YOLO perks can be leveraged or tweaked or transformed to accommodate the users of online. So currently we are focusing on offline users. We are trying to uh, connect the offline users with the businesses. But if there was a way to increase our market or reach, would be to connect the online users. Online users are already having their data being logged in via Facebook and everything. But apart from that, what can we do as YOLO perks that we should look at online leverage, online partners. So let's say if I want Flipkart to associate with YOLO perks, what would be the uh, optimal way that we need to tweak our product as an offering. This is something which I would appreciate. If even if you give it a try, you can email me at vidit@yolobox.com, and my number is 99200 and there is a subscription link of the newsletter. Uh, in case you need any kind of help and you need any kind of assistance in this particular domain, or in marketing, or in startups, or fundraising, do get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help you. And one more thing, so we have created a free tool which I would like you to check out and sign up for. So it is a social media automation tool. It is an artificial intelligent social media tool which will help you to automatically post articles from the internet based on the keywords that you have defined. You will not probably appreciate the importance of this tool, but I would like you to give it a shot and understand the importance of it, because ultimately everything in world boils down to marketing and sales, and this tool will help you in creating your own personal brand. Uh, I think, yeah. Thank you for your patience, and I think I would be open to take questions.
Uh, Thank you so much, Vidit. Let's open it for the questions from CET SOM Trivandrum and Ratnagiri College. So, do we have any questions from CET SOM? If any of the students have any questions regarding the topic, just raise your hand and come towards the camera so that we get to know that the person asks the question, and you can see your question there. Okay. So, sir, we have a question coming in. The question is, what are the important parameters besides download which determines the success of an application?
Besides what?
Besides the success of an application. So,
What are the parameters?
what are the parameters besides downloads of an application? Apart from the downloads, what are the parameters that decides the success of an application?
Okay, so besides the downloads, I think the most important thing, whether you're solving a problem, you have to solve a problem as an application. If you're making an application which is just going to click a photograph and put some filters, probably you will have one or two successful applications like Instagram, but ultimately it should really solve some kind of problem for the user, and that's where most of the game lies. If you're making an application which is just going to be a feel good application, probably you will see a decent amount of traction, but it is not going to be a long term successful plan. So focus on problem solving. That is the most important thing.
Okay, I think that answers the question. So do we have any other question coming in from any of the colleges? So Mr. Vidit, here we have another question coming in. The question is, what kind of marketing strategy does applications like WhatsApp or Facebook did try for getting the number of the masses online?
Okay. So I'll touch base on what Facebook did, because WhatsApp primarily didn't do a lot of marketing. Most of their marketing happened via their partners, like telecom providers, because then they realized that WhatsApp is the most important application currently in the market. But what I'll touch base on is how Facebook tried to market their product. So Facebook removed their messenger. They created a separate app for Messenger and a separate app for Facebook. So if you really had to talk to somebody on mobile via Facebook Messenger, they really pushed the customer to download the application, without which they were not able to communicate. So that is what I think has been the key to their successful download so much, but that is only possible for such huge media companies to do. As a startup, I think referral model is the best way to go ahead to get your marketing in place, provided you are providing a very strong value proposition to the users. I think that answers your question.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. Vidit. Do we have any other question from any of the college? Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session on mobile applications. As you have inspired and showed a way forward to a lot of students present here. So those who want to get into mobile application development and mobile app business. As Mr. Shah recommended to go beyond books, I would like to just tell you that we have sessions lined up already for the next week on artificial intelligence, disruptive advertising, and PR. So I would request students to participate for the session so that you get to know about a lot of other fields that are there in the market, and that's where the research starts. Thank you so much, Mr. Shah, once again for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. Best of luck.